Hello and welcome to the Against the Fence podcast. I get really conscious now when I start and do that because my missus watched one of these before, and she was like, "What are you doing with your hands?" Like, and now I'm just going, "Oh wait, no."
Yeah.
We're back again with Red Wolf, the sexy man from Manchester. We got a lot to cover. Kind of off topic, just come into my head. Following on from the last podcast, we spoke about UFC London. And then by the time the episode came out, they announced like the full card basically, didn't they? So that went well. But we've now got a full card with a fight that was announced in the week as well, wasn't it? Jordan Vucenic versus
Chris Duncan.
Chris Duncan. That's a nice fight, that one, isn't it?
England versus Scotland, mate. It's been a while since we've had that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I thought they'd finished. I thought they'd finished announcing, and then they just throw that one in there and get everyone talking. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it'll be us versus Jourdain in the stands afterwards.
Pretty much, yeah. Me and him have already had a chat about that, and he's gone, well, we'll see how that goes. What do
you think of the card altogether now that they've kind of announced the full thing and it's all confirmed?
Listen, I'm easily pleased, mate. I've got to admit, and I don't think it's too bad. You know what I mean? I think from a UK MMA fan's point of view, it's missing a few big names, but the only big name it's missing is Paddy. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, Tom's not going to do a fight night, is he? He's pay-per-view material now. There's only one fight left for him to do, and it's going to happen eventually. We've just got to wait. But I like it. You know what I mean? I like it. I'm interested to see how they're going to structure the card and where they're going to put who and stuff. Like the Jordan Vucenic fight, I'm thinking, well, is that going to be prelim headliner? Is that going to open the main card? Because I think that's going to be a scrap and a half,
Yeah, so do I. To open the main card, though, for some reason, I feel like it's going to be Jai Herbert.
Yeah, it's possible. Or Molly. I think Molly might open it. Molly opened it at 304, I think, didn't she? Oh, no, that was... No. I was going to say that was Nathaniel Wood, but it wasn't. He was a prelim headliner, I think.
Was it Leroy Duncan?
It was. You're right. It was Duncan and RoboCop.
Yeah, big boy.
Yeah.
I haven't seen enough of him, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let me just have a look. At the moment, it looks like Jai Herbert versus Chris Padilla. I think that'll be followed probably by Gunnar Nelson, Kevin Holland.
I don't know. They might make that third fight, no?
Well, I was thinking then Molly McCann, Estela Nunes, but Molly McCann could also, if we're honest, easily probably possibly be on the prelims.
She might be the prelim headliner. Yeah, she could be.
And then obviously it'd be Jan versus Carlos Ulberg, then Leon versus Jack.
Yeah,
that's kind of my main card. Looking at it at the moment. Oh, Mick Parkin, Marcin Tybura.
Oh, that's got to be up there. Yeah, they're ranked, aren't they now? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good point, man. That is a good point. Where are they going to put them?
But I tell you what, I've just seen it. The fight that I was really excited about when it got announced, which I think would be technically, if you're a UFC fan that likes technical fights, it's going to be incredible. Nathaniel Wood, Morgan Street to open the main card.
I'd love that. I'd love that because I think that fight's going to be a big fight for both guys. Do you know what I mean? Like who wins that gets a ranked opponent, gets 100%. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
My money's on Wood. I'm rooting for Wood on that all day, every day. Do you know what I mean? It's got to be a tough one.
Definitely.
But I reckon he can do it.
Yeah, so I would toss up to open it up. I mean, Jordan Vucenic is going to be his second fight at the UFC, right? So I feel like it's a bit early for him to get a main card opener.
Yeah.
I feel like Nathaniel Wood deserves that spot on the main card, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so maybe Jordan goes on to the prelim. I mean, Dana and Hunter's going to have a lot of... You know what? They should just hire us. Fuck it, we'll do it. Do you know what I mean? Get us in there. We'll move that card about.
Yeah, I'm not jealous of the matchmakers on this one, if I'm honest. When I look at those fights and think about how close some of those people are in their respective division, it's a tough one to kind of go, the fight's going to be better than that fight. So kudos to them if they pull it off.
Oh yeah.
I think the one that I'm super nervous about, if I'm honest, is Lonnie Kavanagh versus Felipe dos Santos.
Yeah. See, dos Santos can be a bit of a. He can surprise you sometimes. You know what I mean? You think, oh, he's going to get beaten, then he pulls something out. I like Lonnie Kavanagh. I do, big time. And he put a hell of a performance on his last fight. Was it Macau he was at?
Yeah, and he's one of them. He's similar to Nathaniel in that technical style.
Yeah,
I love it.
Exactly that. So I think he could pull it off. I'm going to root for him all day, but tough fight, very tough fight. Like this card is tough for the UK fighters. I've got to admit they've put some good matches together there. I think with Mick Parkin and Tybora, I think Mick's going to. I don't want to say fly through him, but I think Mick gets that done quite easily, especially when his teammates Tom Aspinall and he's already knocked out Tybora, so he's gonna give him a lot of hints there,
Yeah, is there an element as well to? I think as a British MMA fan or a UK MMA fan, are the fight nights potentially being paired better than the pay-per-views?
Well, looking back, actually, I think you might be right. I mean, there was one. I can't remember which London it was. It was one a couple of years back. I think it was Aspinall versus Volkov. It was fucking amazing. It was like a pay-per-view, like the energy and the whole country was just buzzing off that. And I have to remind myself, this isn't even a pay-per-view. This is just a fight night. But the energy was just unreal. That was when Paddy and Molly won. Molly jumps in the cage with the belt and everything. You know what I mean? And it was fantastic.
Yeah.
I didn't even go to that. I was supposed to, but I didn't go to it. And so I think you might be right. They do seem to match a lot. Great matchups. I've seen a few people like shitting on it and saying, "Oh, it's the British Apex card," and I'm thinking, "No, come on! Like it's way better than an Apex card. It's way better than 312." Like, I'm just gonna say it. I'm looking forward to 312, but it's not the best card, is it? You know what I
mean? There might be, to the people that are listening around the world, be outside the UK, there might be some slight bias in that, I feel.
Maybe a little bit.
But yeah, very, very excited. You've got tickets, haven't you?
I've got tickets. Yeah.
If anyone's going, let us know. We're going to be doing some stuff in the week. I'm also aware of some other content creators that are doing stuff in the week. I've got to give a shout out to Casuals Corner.
Yeah, seeing he's doing another pop-up, isn't he?
He's doing a pop-up, which will be in London. I'll repost it on my socials. Most people probably follow him. He's like one of the biggest MMA fan pages now, isn't he? But yeah, keep an eye out because the venue looks incredible. And they're going to have a few guests there. Tom Aspinall's cousin's going to be talking about nutrition.
Yeah.
And he's had him before. I've forgotten his actual name. Enhanced Sports Performance. He's a Scottish guy.
Last time in Manchester, was he there?
Yeah.
He was, wasn't he? Yeah.
What's his name? Craig.
Oh,
why have I forgotten his name?
Gone, mate, gone. He's got to watch this.
Scottish UFC fighter. What's his name?
Oh, you mean Chris Duncan?
No, the other one.
The other one? Paul Craig.
Paul Craig. It is Paul Craig, isn't it?
Yeah.
Why have I forgotten that? Yeah. He is his strength and conditioning coach.
Ah, yeah, I know what you mean now. Man's gonna feel like Bilal Muhammad, the fact that you just forgot his name. Do you know what I mean? Like
Paul, remember the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, he's got a pretty cool lineup. I think he's also doing a collaboration with Lonnie on some clothing as well. So yeah, I'm gonna try and look to pick up some clothing because I think that'll be sick. I've got.
What you got there?
Where's it gone?
Oh.
Where has that gone? I had one of his comics up here.
You did actually. I remember that on the last episode.
Yeah, and it's literally vanished.
Someone's had it.
Whatever. We've got a podcast to record. Let's not worry about that. Jesus Christ, what am I doing? Yeah, so that is before the actual card. I think it starts at like 11 o'clock in the morning. Location will be announced. I'm looking to go along to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyone that's there, see you there.
Yeah.
Getting into what's going on at the moment. This one has been on and off the radar for absolute ever, and I was slightly bored of it until that I realised that Chael Sonnen had chipped in on it. He's now come out and said that he thinks that Conor McGregor might not fight again.
To be honest, I'm gonna have to agree. Like, I don't think it's happening. Do you know what? It's like, you remember those old Corrie episodes and the soap operas and all that? Will they, won't they? It's starting to feel like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's like, he's going to come back, he's going to fight this guy, he's going to do BKFC, he's going to do this, he's going to do, now he's doing a film, now he's being president of Ireland. It's like, mate, come on. Like make a decision. What are we doing? You know what I mean? I mean, I loved Conor. I can't deny it. I did. I watched him in the Cage Warrior days. I watched him come at the UFC. I watched him with that brash, like kind of arsehole swagger, confidence type thing. But he backs it up, and I loved Conor. And when he became double champ, it was unreal. Like you haven't seen it before.
Yeah.
But since then, it's kind of like been what's going on now. I mean, he came back, he fought Poirier, he fought Khabib, lost that, came back, fought Cerrone, won that, and then nice guy Conor turned up, the nicest version of Conor we have ever seen in the first in the Poirier rematch, and then after that,
short-lived.
Very short-lived. It was like after he lost that, it was just right back into the evil Conor, But no, I mean,
convinced there was just a period where he was taking hormone replacement or something.
It must have been. It was. If you really want to go into the weird schizophrenic conspiracy theories, they'll say that wasn't him, that was a clone. Do you know what I mean? That was a cloned Conor. That's why he had his head shaved and everything. And I've actually seen people saying that as well, but they need to sort their meds out. But yeah, I mean, I'd like for him to come back for one, and just say, right, that was it. I am definitely retiring now. Because he doesn't need to fight. This is the thing, innit? He doesn't need to. He's a multi-millionaire. He can put a tweet out, and everyone's lapping it up. Do you know what I mean? No matter what he does, it turns to gold, doesn't it? Or it turns to shit. One of the two.
Yeah.
But I mean, the BKFC thing, I can see him doing that. I can see him having a couple of fights in that. Do you know what I mean? Jeremy Stevens or Mike Perry, someone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I without a big network deal though, I know they got DAZN.
Oh, DAZN apparently is how you say it. Yeah.
DAZN is called.
DAZN,
yeah. Suppose I think haven't they just given them a broadcast deal of some sort? I think.
Yeah, they're on DAZN now. Same with PFL. So the PFL is on DAZN.
But so far, he's been paying a lot of it out of his own pocket. I think as an investment into the business.
Yeah, I think so.
What's going to happen? Is he going to end up paying himself?
Well, pretty much. The one hand gives and the other hand takes away. That's the way it is.
Yeah.
But I mean, it might. But I don't think he can fight. I don't know. I might be wrong about this, but I don't think he can fight in the BKFC while he's under contract with UFC. And if you notice, like, someone asked Dana at a recent press conference, when's Conor coming back? And he just said, I don't know. Next question. Like, Dana just completely just wanted to move on from that question. So I don't think there's a good relationship there at the minute, which is mad because yeah. Those two loved each other at one point. You remember it? You know what I mean? We'll have to make the edits of the Broken Hearts. You know what I mean? And
it's true though, because like I've worked in like a few sales jobs, and the guy who owns the business, his favorite person is whoever the top sales rep is at the time, because it just makes him the most money.
Yeah.
and I think it was just the same thing where Dana was like, I fucking love this guy
Yeah,
because he's kind of saved the UFC at that time. They were pretty well established, but he took them to such a different level.
yeah, yeah. Oh,
I
it
think,
blew
yeah,
up. Yeah, when Conor was like in the UFC, it blew up. Do you know what I mean? Like you
yeah.
can't, and I think a lot of people have said, look, you really can't deny what Conor did for the sport, and you can't. Do you
Oh
know what I
no,
mean? You
no.
can't deny it. And like I say, I think we're getting to that point now where the UFC doesn't need Conor, and it's kind of it's already massive, I mean, I think if Conor came back, it would sell absolutely millions. Like no matter who we fought, I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the perspective to put on top of that though is recently we had a pay per view which broke all records, which was at the Sphere for Noche.
Mm,
If Conor McGregor was on that card
yeah,
and headlined it, do you think it would have been bigger than it was?
yeah, yeah. I think so. Do you know what I mean? Because
I,
I mean, if you look at the top 10, right, most bought like UFC pay-per-views, Conor's like 8 of them. Do you know what I mean? And
it's mental.
it's unreal. It's unreal. You know what I mean? The other ones were like the old school ones. Like the Randy Couture and GSP, BJ Penn. I might be wrong on that, but I know that about 8 of the top selling pay-per-views, Conor McGregor was headlining. Do you know what I mean? He is the money man. Not even John Jones is selling that, man. Like he's like the bigger fucking star at the minute. So it's although John Jones might break that when he fights Tom Aspinall, that could break records.
Yeah, I do as well. I think that could be a huge card.
Yeah,
I'd be interested to see how they stack it up.
yeah. I keep thinking about that. When like, do you ever play the UFC games where you could make your own card? Do you ever do that?
No,
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 no, that's
no.
just me. I'm just sad,
You
you know.
sad man.
But I was thinking the other week, like, if I could make, Tom Aspinall, John Jones, like, who would be on the main card? And it'd have to start. It'd be like something like UFC 300. Do you know what I mean? You'd have to put everyone on there, but at the same time, you probably wouldn't need to. Do you know what I mean? Because the card will sell itself.
Well, I've got an image in my head now of you just sat in a dark room and your budgie smugglers and white socks just putting your card together like.
It was Black Sox actually, but
Oh, okay.
oh, bro, you made me feel really self-conscious now. Like, fuck it, I'll just go and delete them off my PlayStation now. Like, I'm going.
No, it's all right. We're pitching a tent over here. Thinking about
Yeah. That's the OnlyFans content. I wait for that to drop.
it.
Hey, but yeah, I mean, it's the other thing as well. Even if Conor does come back, at this point, who does he fight? Like, if he came, if say they announced he was coming back, who would you put him up against?
Dan Hooker.
Dan, you sly little, and that is a good one. That is a.
I think realistically, I think is the only one I'd really want to see at this point. Because I don't think he can fight anyone in contention or on the way up.
No,
because I don't think he really deserves that.
No.
Dan Hooker's like made his way back, and we know he's just nails. So
yeah, like
either fight.
I've either fight. Yeah. They'll just Hooker's fighting Gaethje, isn't it? And I feel like that we've already got a potential fight of the year candidate, and it's not even happened yet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, we could be really wrong on that, and they just stare at each other for 15 minutes. But I don't think that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean? But I mean,
there's going to be so many questions around Gaethje coming back after that knockout, though.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think as well, if Gaethje gets knocked out again, I think we could be seeing him retire. Do you know what I mean? And that's another wounder.
A vicious MMA circle of life. He
Yeah.
did Tony Ferguson.
Yeah. And now it's coming back to you. You know what I mean? It's but with Hooker, like you say, he's I think if he wins that fight, I think he gets a BMF shot against Max. I'm just putting it out.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah. Can I also say, can we start a GoFundMe for Chael Sonnen to get some working Wi-Fi to just figure out that Conor McGregor's not coming back?
I think Shell does this, doesn't he? You know, he's always he's a bit like me. He's a bit like, you know, he's 5 minutes, 10 minutes behind everybody else. Maybe he's using it in the Explorer. Do you know what I mean? He's using it in the Explorer. That's what it is. He's going to announce that Tony Ferguson's pulled out of the Khabib fight. You know what I mean?
It's that, or he walked into a phone booth. It was a time machine. Went back about 10 minutes and stood out again.
I mean, I actually haven't seen the Chael Sonnen the clip where he said this. I must admit, I haven't seen it, but I do think he's right, and I think we're all kind of getting to that point now where it's like, look, if Conor's going to come back, stop teasing us, right, and just tell us, you know what I mean? Say, I'm coming back on this day. I mean, I don't even think he's been USADA tested, not USADA, but you know, drug tested recently. I think he did once, but he hasn't had any since then. So Donald Cerrone's probably had more tests at the minute.
Are we in a position in this modern UFC age to start a midlife crisis division?
Don't, man, because honestly, right, I'm starting to feel that made myself. Right, I'm starting to, honestly, there was the other week I was starting to think, I'm having a crisis here because all my favourite fighters are starting to dip out. And don't get me started, I don't think the UFC needs to open a midlife crisis because the GFL's covered that, right? Like, I was looking at the GFL thing and I'm thinking, no, where'd they get Frank May from, man? Like, let the man live. You know what I mean? Just leave him alone. So, I don't know.
Jens Pulver in a minute, won't we? Jesus Christ.
Won't surprise me. I mean, I didn't believe the Tony Ferguson thing for like. I'm a big thing on don't believe everything you read, right? And when GFL announced that they had Tony Ferguson, I was like, bullshit. I was like, no, not happening. Fuck off. No, not right. And then he's on the draft, and I'm like, oh no, it's true. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to wait to see that actually materialise.
I'm gonna watch it. We're all little sadists, aren't we? Right? We're gonna watch old men beat the crap out of each other, right? Because we love it, right? You know, I usually do it outside. I throw a crack rock in front of crackheads and just let them go for it. You know what I mean? But
half of Manchester's in the street.
This is it, mate. It's great. You know what I mean? Throw a packet of ciggies on the floor and see everyone come out of their house. It's great. It's hilarious. But yeah, the GFL's a bit of I mean, you know, I'm gonna take the piss. Of course I am. But I will see how it goes. Do you know what I mean? But it worries me with the age of some of the fighters, I've got to admit. I don't want to see Chuck Liddell versus Tito 4. You know what I mean?
To be fair, I'd like to see the Iceman fight again.
No, don't, man. It's just health reviews at this point. And I love Chuck.
Other headlines that I was picking out. Kamaru Usman wants a super fight. Yeah, his chin's got more cracks than my nan's favourite teapot, and he's a good guy. Makes sense, doesn't it? I respect the hustle, but
yeah. I mean, I think Usman's another one in here. He wants a fight so he can call it a day. I think. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, retirement money. He's probably looking at, isn't he? If there's someone bigger in a bigger weight class, then
yeah. I mean, I think he did. Who did he fight in middleweight? It was a Hamzat.
Yeah, he moved up. Oh, short notice to fight from my
and that you know what? That was a good fight. You know, he put it on Hamzat. The first round he got dominated. There's no, you know, it was a 10-8. But the second and third, with his fucked up knees, he did all right. You know what I mean? He actually did all right. You know, so yeah. I mean, who could be a super fight? I don't think he's getting a title shot.
No, I think Dana said at the press conferences this week leading up to the Strickland Duplessis that did he say that Khamzat's next?
For the title shot.
Khamzat's next. Yeah, whoever wins, they'll be fighting him.
Yeah, I mean that's a nice reward, isn't it? Well done, boys. You've put a great fight on now. Hamzat's going to absolutely have his way with you. Do you know what I mean? But
yeah. I don't realistically know who Usman fights, if I'm honest.
I don't. In welterweight or middleweight, I can't really think of anyone. Do you know what I mean? Maybe, all right, this is going to be a big if, but if Sean loses, maybe Usman and Sean go again because they fought at welterweight. Maybe you could make the rematch at middleweight. You know what I mean? But again, is it a super fight? Probably not.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah,
It's a bit. Yeah, I know. Would anyone really want to see it? You know what I mean? At welterweight as well. Look, so Shavkat's definitely fighting Bilal next, and then Leon's fighting JDM.
yeah.
So the winner of that is probably going to get the winner of Bilal and Shavkat.
Yes.
There's Ian Gary, but Ian Gary isn't a super fight material. I don't think just yet. I tell you what. Fuck it. Bring GSP back. GSP versus. You know what I mean? Now that would sell. I would buy that 100%.
Yeah, I'm looking at the rankings now just to think about it a bit deeper. The only person who's just outside the top 5, which I think makes any sort of sense, is Kai Borralho. At some point.
Yeah.
Imavov's just beat Izzy.
Yeah.
Chimaev potentially is going to have a title fight. Izzy and Rob, I just don't see them fighting Usman, particularly Izzy.
Rob might.
Yeah, Jared Cannonier, I think would be an interesting fight.
Yeah.
The bloke from the Goonies.
The bloke from... You're talking about Bogdan? Andy Smith's brother. Clone.
No, the Italian one.
Oh, Marvin Vittori.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where he goes next either, if I'm honest.
No.
Yeah, I don't know. Bo Nickel?
Oh, well, he's in top 15 now, isn't he? You know what I mean? I don't know how, but he is. He's not a super fight. I don't think I don't know.
He's got a lot of hype. You can't ignore.
Yeah, he's hyped. He's hyped to fuck for some reason. Like they've got a hard on for Bo. Do you know what I mean? Like, was it? He was on the main card of 300 as well, wasn't he? And a lot of people were saying why. You know what I mean? I was saying why. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you've got a stacked card like that. Why is he on the main? Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. He might do well, but again, there's a lot of a lot of hyped fighters that seem to be catching a few ones on the record now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hold that thought. We'll come back to that.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
So coming up this weekend, obviously when this comes out, it will be the Monday afterwards, but it'll just be funny to laugh at ourselves during this section. We've got Zhang Weili's title defense versus Tatiana Suarez.
Yeah.
I've put this one in because I'm actually like, I don't really get fascinated by women's matchups too often. But this one does really fascinate me because Suarez had a pretty rough 2024 with like illness and stuff like that.
Yeah.
She's undefeated, and like ever since I seen the video Zhang Weili picking up Francis Ngannou, I thought there's no woman beating her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just interested to get your thoughts on how you actually think that fight's going to play out.
Well, we spoke about this before we started recording today, didn't we? And I think we've got two different opinions on it. Like, I love Zhang. I love Weili. I've got to admit. I posted. I was trying to shorten it, and there was no way I could shorten it any less than 11 minutes. But I posted Weili versus Joanna 1, but it's for me. Fuck women's fight. It's one of the best fights of all time. Do you know what I mean? I love that fight. That's when she made me a fan. Do you know what I mean? And she's steamrolling. I mean, yeah, Rose caught her with a head kick, and that was shocking. Like, I was really surprised at that because I thought Zhang might have won that.
Yeah, I think it's a fluke now, though.
Yeah, when you look back, you kind of think, So I'm excited for that fight. I really am excited for Zhang versus Suarez because, like I say, Suarez undefeated. She's got a lot of hype behind her, and I've seen a lot of people picking her. I have seen a lot of people saying she's going to do it. Do you know what I mean? And I wouldn't be surprised if she did. I'm not going to say it's not happening. Do you know what I mean? But for me, I feel Zhang's the experience is going to come through. I'm a big proponent of experience beats a lot of things nowadays.
Yeah, and she's also like, I think the one thing that I always overlook with Zhang is that she's actually got quite a good base for defensive wrestling, and she's got a good scramble as well.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if Tatiana Suarez can feel her out and can get her down, I do think she submits her.
Do you know what? That's the second, prediction I've heard that's maybe gone, it's made me worry a little. I think that's what makes this fight exciting, because there's a lot of variables and a lot of what ifs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, Dana White's hyping this fight like it's the second coming of GSP, but
yeah, but Suarez, I remember back in a couple of years back, she was basically everyone was calling her the female Habib. Do you know what I mean? And she was proving it as well. She was dominating. She was smashing them. She was submitting them. So it's possible. I mean, when you look at Zhang versus, I can only say her first name, Yang. Yang Zhang Zhang.
Yeah, Yang Yanan.
Yang Yang, yeah. Yang, yeah. She did okay at times, but you look at Weili's grappling in that. I mean, she actually submitted her 3 times. The ref just let her go. You know what I mean? Let's face it.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of, I think there's going to be a lot of really nice, exciting grappling going on in this fight. But then I think on the feet, Weili lights her up if she can close the distance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think my bugbear is that this fight's really exciting. But the division itself is shit.
Yeah, it's a bit of an odd one, isn't it?
It's like there's no one really making any movements lower down.
No, and I've got
fight each other. One person beats one person, and then they beat someone else, and that person beat the person they just beat, and it's like, I really want something
to really make you. I mean, I've noticed in women rankings, they always seem to do 11 versus 12 or 8 versus 7. They never do 12 versus 3. Do you know what I mean? Where it's like, you win this, you're getting a shot right up. And like you say, I've also noticed sometimes, they'll be at the bottom, and then all of a sudden the new rankings will come out, and they've moved 10 spaces up, and it's like, how? Why? Do you know what I mean? Like they've not fought for a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the UFC doesn't help them and market them very well, especially when they're putting 6 versus 5 on the prelims.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you think about it though. I mean, look at Ailin Perez shaking her ass and twerking. People know who she is now because she does that. Do you know what I mean? Tracy Cortez. Listen, any red-blooded male that doesn't know who Tracy Cortez is, right? There's something wrong. And those two are beefing with each other now. So if they're that's gonna because twerk off. Just do it. Just fucking twerk off. So I think,
and then we'll have Marab in the middle judging them, taking
just go. But yeah, female. I mean, one of my favorite fighters of all time, regardless of female male, is Shevchenko. Do you know what I mean? I think she's just amazing. Do you know what I mean? Joanna was another one. Still is, but she retired. And I think as well, I want to see Shevchenko versus Weili. So that's another reason I'm kind of rooting for Weili to win this. That fight happened.
Yeah, I like it. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. I just want a bit of life injected to the division.
Yeah.
I'm gonna root for Amy Scully, who we had on the podcast, to come into the UFC in the next few years and make her way up there. I reckon she's got a really good chance.
Well, in that mind frame, then I'm gonna throw Dakota Duchevic in there. I can't say her last name. You know what I mean? The PFL.
Yeah. I know who you mean. Yeah, I like your thinking, and I think when they're cutting the £1 million to 500 grand and things with someone with her kind of hype in the
Yeah.
PFL,
Yeah.
if she could come into the UFC soon, I think she's got to do it soon.
Yeah,
I
it's got to
think,
be this
yeah,
year. This year, she's got to come in late this year.
yeah, and she comes straight into a top 3.
Yeah. I can see it. And do you know what? I can see her. I'm gonna say it. I can see her being champ. I think she's very highly skilled. Highly skilled. Yeah, there's a bit of bias there. She's a man. Do you know what I mean? But she's really good, really phenomenal. Like her versus Valentina has been talked about for a while around these like areas and that. So that could be amazing.
Yeah, that would be an insane fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looking back slightly, we just looked forward. Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy.
Is he good? Is he staying? Is he not? Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah, I mean, Bisping reckons that Adesanya's time at the top is over.
yeah.
Um,
Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to agree, man. Do you know what I mean? Like, can we see him getting back into title contention? I mean, I thought I will admit, like, I did pick Izzy to win against Imavov. I must admit, I thought we were gonna see contender Izzy again. You know, mythical fighter contender Izzy, and we just didn't see it. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't move the same way he used to. He doesn't. He used to stick and move. He had the confidence. His confidence seems to be gone. Do you know what I mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I agree with that because I think he looked quite good in the first round.
He looked good, but did he look? Is he good? Got you thinking on that one.
Yeah, you have got me pondering because
Remember Izzy versus Gastelum?
yeah,
Remember, you know what I'm saying? There seems to be something missing, and I don't quite know what it is. And I think he knows there's something missing as well.
I think it's personal mentality.
Yeah.
I think when he was on the up and he was smashing everybody, it was all positive. Recently, it's been quite negative.
Yeah.
And I've gotta think that. I mean, I can't answer it because I've never been a UFC fighter or a high level MMA fighter. When you get one or two bad ones on the bounce,
Yeah.
you probably just start questioning absolutely everything.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a fighter either, but it's like in life, innit? When shit starts coming at you hard and you feel like you're taking loss after loss after loss, you start getting to that point of what's the fucking point? Do you know what I mean? Like, and it feels when he said something like, you know, I'm not bothered about getting the belt, which I respected, and he was right in saying, even if I lose, my legacy's still intact, and I agree with that. I totally agree with that. But when I heard that, I did think his passion's not there anymore.
Yeah, and it is common when people go all the way to the top and then very quickly fade off in the sunset. They've made the money, they've got the popularity, the fame, and the recognition, which I think a lot of them probably get sick of, like the fame side of it anyway.
Yeah.
And then on top of like all these new financial opportunities coming in, what are you going to do? Are you going to put as much time and effort into training to fight? Or are you going to seek to explore these new financial opportunities, which are probably offering you more or comparable money to whatever you're getting for fighting over the same period of like between fights?
Yeah. I mean, this is it. I mean, it's like we said before about Conor, isn't it? You know, Conor's, I mean, I don't think he's as rich as Conor. He might be, I don't know. But Conor's a multi-millionaire, you know, with all these businesses, all these like little ventures and, you know, things that he's doing. Why would you want to put yourself in a cage and beat the crap out of someone or get the crap beat out of you? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like there's no incentive. If you're young, you're hungry and you're starving and your kid needs nappies or whatever, you know, you're gonna have that hunger. And you see it a lot. You see it a lot with like a lot of them that reach the top at the pinnacle. Well, it's like, well, I've done what I came to do. Do you know what I mean? I've come to make a life for myself, and I've made it.
Yeah, and I think where that in the earlier days of the UFC, where there was a lot of fighters that it was like there probably wasn't the sponsorship deals and all the brand focus that comes at them because whatever reason with the UFC not being as big or the way that the public viewed the UFC.
Yeah, yeah,
Now that that's changed, and now that they are social media followers in the millions,
yeah,
um, and people just know the name.
yeah,
Why would you fight until you're like 40, risk getting CTE and like things to live with for the rest of your life? I think the best plan if you were gonna be an MMA fighter is get into the UFC, manage their marketing, use it to
yeah,
your best potential, climb as high as you can as quickly as you can, basically ignore anything apart from training for the first, like whilst you're there and get as many fights as you can
yeah,
sensibly.
yeah, yeah,
Not like Kevin Holland. Um,
yeah.
get like if you can, if you're good enough, get the championship belt.
Yeah,
Have 2-3 to fight like defenses. Try and fight for the next rank up. Maybe over 5-6 years. Finish.
yeah, yeah. Do you know what?
Take money.
It sounds to me like, Tom Aspinall says it, right? That's what he said. He's focused solely on becoming the best heavyweight of all time, getting his money, getting that, legacy, and then calling it a day. Do you know what I mean? He's not trying to get double champ. He's not trying to be, the GOAT. He's just trying to be the best heavyweight fighter, defend the belt as much as he can, and sail off into the sunset, and maybe do some, on the sidelines with MMA. He said, maybe commentary, maybe, carry on with the training people, And I think that's the way you need to do it. I mean, look at GSP. You know what I mean? He got to a point where he was like, "There's nothing else for me to prove." You know what I mean? I'm going to take it. Plus, he had health issues, and he noticed, like, look, I'm not the same as I was. And then decided after a couple of years, yeah, I'll fight Bisping for the middleweight title, and yeah, fuck it, let's do it. You know what I mean? And then again, it's like, yeah, I have now one title. I'll see you later. He's gone again. Do you know what I mean? So I think you're right. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'd love to, see my favourite fighters keep going as long as they keep winning. I think that's the issue in it. If even if you've got a favourite fighter, do you want them to stick around just so you can root for him, or do you want them to say, look, it's time for me to call it a day? You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I think the biggest one for me in the most recent times, which has been a prime example of that, is Tony Ferguson.
Well, 100%.
Watching him towards the end of that Gaethje fight,
Yeah.
it was not enjoyable.
No.
It was tough.
Yeah. I mean, even
and then you go on to watch him do like another 4 fights, and you're like, "What? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this?"
Yeah. I mean, even after the Gaethje fight, I thought, okay, fair play to Gaethje, man. We even kind of had it in the back. Well, the guy did cut weight twice. You know what I mean? Maybe Gaethje was just a better fighter on that night. Fair enough. Wow. Great fight. And then I think, was it after that, it was Oliveira he fought. And he thought, oh, okay, that's going to be a good. And then he got,
yeah, that was rough.
Yeah, that was a tough one. I mean, it looked like his arm was about to rip off and he wasn't anywhere near tapping. And it's like, fucking hell, come on. Then it was Dariush. And then Dariush dominated him. Then it was, I can't remember who else it was after that. Who else was it? Was it Chandler? Was it Chandler?
Yeah, and he kicked him in the face. Yeah,
Front kicked him in the face. Do you know what I mean? And then he got ragged. And then there was, there was Paddy. Then there was Bobby Green. Then there was Paddy. And it's just like, now it's getting to the point that, oh, no more. No, please, no more. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, like you should realistically. I get him hanging around. He should have stopped after Chandler. That was a brutal knockout, and it was his third loss on the bounce. Like, come on, mate, please.
Yeah, and now like I say, he's joined the GFL. Might be fighting.
He might be all right now.
He might. Well, if he's fighting Dylan Dangers, trust me, the whole MMA community is going to be so rooting for him. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
That would be very entertaining.
Oh, I bet it would. I've got to admit it would. But I'm like you say, bro, Tony Ferguson is one of my favourite fighters of all time. The El Kakui 12-fight win streak was unreal. You know what I mean? He made people look like they were in a murder scene. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was great. I always say to anyone, a lot of these new fans, like, they only know Tony as this guy that just keeps losing. I'm like, go back and watch him fight Barbosa, Kevin Lee, Anthony Pettis, when he was in Tough, go and watch him because he was unreal. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, Blades and Shades, baby. Blades and
Oh,
Shades.
that's the one, Blazing Shades. And also, out the cage antics were hilarious when he tells, hold on, brother, I'm talking. It was just, he didn't give a fuck. So he didn't give a fuck.
Yeah, he had an aura about him, which was like slightly psychotic.
Yeah.
And slightly, he would just, well, I think just all around psychotic. I think that's
Yeah, he was a psycho. There's no two ways about it. He was a legit psycho. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I'm gonna cry if we carry on talking about Tony. The most overrated fighters in MMA history. Every sport's got overrated players, fighters, whatever you want to call them. But I think MMA is the only one where someone can have 3 wins, multiple arrest warrants, and still be called the next big thing.
Or the GOAT, according to some people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I'm talking about.
A few overrated fighters. I've listed a couple. I just want to try and have a debate on them. The next one, we're gonna go swinging in there. Ronda Rousey.
Oh, Ronda.
Changed the game in terms of women's fighting. Yes, I'd agree. Couldn't defend a punch. Also, yes.
Yeah. I think someone got into her head, right? Because she was a phenomenal grappler, right? The way she did, I think it was Kat Zingano, she just threw it at the floor and just punched the shit out of her. Do you know what I mean? There was other times she just jumped on him and snapped her arm in a couple of seconds. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was a phenomenal grappler, right? Back when, I mean, she was judo mostly. It was mostly judo she did. But someone got into her head and told her, you're a good striker as well, and she wasn't. Do you know what I mean? Like, she was not. When she met Holly Holm, she even said she was going to stand with. It's like people nowadays saying they're going to stand with Piera, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Why? Why are you going to stand with one of the greatest kickboxers of all time? Do you know what I mean? It's like, don't do that. But so I don't know if she was overrated, but I think she definitely overrated her own stand-up. And if she,
I think her judo and her jiu-jitsu that was incredible.
Yeah.
I read Cage Kings by Michael Thompson. I interviewed him on the podcast.
Yeah.
He kind of goes through phases of like the UFC and the financial implication that it had on the business.
Yeah.
And one of the phases he has in there is Ronda Rousey.
Yeah.
There's a moment I think that he writes about, which was when she was fighting Miesha Tate in Strikeforce.
Yeah.
And she had a submission locked in. Didn't want to do anything more than that. Thought for some reason, I don't know why, that Miesha had like tapped or something. The referee hadn't seen it. So she let go of the submission and they carried on the fight.
Yeah.
And from that moment, she promised herself she wouldn't hold back if something was on.
Yeah.
And it turned her into a killer.
Monster. Absolute monster. I can't... What was her quickest finish? Was it 16 seconds, 18 seconds?
I don't know. Let me look.
It was... I can't remember who it was, but her opponent just basically ran across the cage at her. Why are you running at a phenomenal... someone like that? And she just judo throwed her.
100-meter dash.
Do you know what I mean? Judo throwed her and just beat the shit out of her. Just pummeled her. Do you know what I mean? I mean, she also had that attitude, kind of. I mean, I'm all for fighters having a bit of attitude, and a bit of, swagger, but not arrogance. And I think she got to the point where she was arrogant. You know what I mean? She refused to shake people's hands and stuff like that, and it was a bit like, at least show respect. You got to show respect. You know what I mean?
You're right. It was 16 seconds in July 2014 against Alexis Davis.
Boom, that's the one. That's who I was thinking of. See, I love showing my age on here sometimes.
I mean, your age can't be that bad if you've actually remembered it. I didn't. Yeah.
Well, I know, yeah. I remember the good
Yeah,
ones.
that is wild. That is
Yeah.
wild. Yeah, and then unfortunately Holly Holm come along.
Holly Holm came, and then she fought Amanda Nunes afterwards, like as a comeback fight. I mean, that wasn't going to go any different, was it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think she got out when she did. I mean, I think she's one thing you can say about Rousey though is, I think she got out when she was supposed to.
Yeah, like you can't ignore like the WWE thing and all that
Yeah,
stuff coming out.
yeah,
Yeah, like, it's that whole theory of like stop taking the damage, don't
yeah,
put yourself
exactly.
through
Yeah.
it, and go and earn some money out of it.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I think she did the right thing. And I know people like talk. It's funny because now I've got a few mates who are like, into the WWE and that. They talk about Rousey like as a big They forget she was in the UFC. Do you know what I mean? And I'm thinking, so that means she's made an impression on her. Do you know what I mean? Whereas I remember as, like you say, Joe Rogan absolutely losing his shit when Holly Holm kicks her in the head. Do you know what I mean?
Next one up, Darren Till.
Oh, that's her. That's. Do you know what they did wrong with Dazza? Do you know what they did wrong with Darren Till? They pushed him too quickly.
Do you think?
I think so. I think they needed someone from the UK to be like, the next Conor McGregor type of thing, and I think they pushed him too far or too quickly. Do you know what I mean?
Okay,
I don't.
interesting.
I rooted for him against Woodley. I was thinking we're going to see, this Scouser become a fucking champion. And when you think about Woodley's fights before the Darren Till fight, they weren't great, were they? Do you know what I mean? Like, he had a couple of fights with Stephen Thompson, and a lot of people were trying to say he could be one of the most boring champions ever. That was before, Bilal was about. So I like Bilal, I'm kidding. I just haven't forgiven him for what he did to Leon yet. But yeah, and then with Till as well, like, it was another thing. I mean, he even takes a piss out of himself for this. Like, he couldn't train his grappling, his anti-grappling, his wrestling, his takedown defense. He just never seemed to pick it up. Do you know what I mean? He just couldn't get it. I mean, when you train with Hamzat as well, there must have been a point where Hamzat was like, "Brother, you are not gonna get this." You know what I mean? You're not gonna figure it out. So I think him going into boxing was probably a good idea.
Yeah, I mean that was. I watched that actually.
The Anthony Taylor fight.
It was ridiculous, if we're honest.
Yeah. But he's making his money, ain't he? Do you know what I mean? But you know what I've noticed though? Till, he keeps saying, I definitely want to come back to the UFC, and apparently he has a good relationship with Dana. No one really asked Dana about it, but apparently he would come back into the UFC.
Yeah. Watch this space. UFC London.
Oh, I love that. We're gonna get people.
Let's see what we can work out. Whether it's press access or whether it's at the Q&A, we'll get someone to ask that at ATF.
Yeah.
I think that's a great question to ask at the media day.
What's happening with Darren Till? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like he keeps on saying that he's going to come back. What's your thought?
Yeah. And as for overrated, I don't know, because apart from the fact he's grappling shit, right? There's no two ways about it. If you look at him versus DDP, he was actually doing pretty fucking well.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Like the way that DDP fights, and we've seen it more at a high level to understand it, I think, a bit better now.
Yeah.
It's so unorthodox and it's so odd.
Yeah.
That actually Darren was dealing with it really well, and we've seen people probably be worse.
Yeah.
I think Izzy wasn't prepared at all. I think Darren realistically done better than Izzy.
Yeah, I think he landed a lot more effectively than Izzy did. I saw a little edit today that we've got the new Homer Simpson of MMA, and it's Drickus Duplessis. He used to be Gaethje, but now we've got DDP. He uses his head. He even headbutted Sean's hip. Do you know what I mean?
The hip, yeah. And Sean goes like that.
Significant.
That, yeah.
My head won. Do you know what I mean? But Yeah, like, I mean, even the Rob Whittaker fight with Darren Till, like, Till dropped him.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
one of my favorite fights.
It's a brilliant fight, that. And it was one of those, it was even better because it was in the Apex with no crowd. It was great.
If I'm honest, I'm absolutely gutted at some point they didn't line up Darren Till versus Adesanya, even if it was when Adesanya was
Yeah,
coming up.
yeah.
I really have a passionate. I would have loved to have seen that, and they both came out and said, "I'd love to
They
fight
both
you."
talked about it,
And I think that would have been an absolute banger because they both would have really. It would have been a real. I think it would have been fairly similar to the Rob Whittaker fight.
yeah.
But I just think Izzy's rangy style rather than Rob's bit more orthodox style would have been interesting to see Darren kind of trading in the gap.
Yeah. Maybe, maybe there's still time. Still time.
If he comes back, depending on what happens with Izzy next.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think Darren comes back to Izzy, but I think Darren could come back to someone and then potentially fight Izzy.
Yeah.
But we'll see what Izzy wants to do. Sean O'Malley. I put in brackets before winning the belt.
Yeah. I must admit, I didn't think he was overrated because I think he had some fucking phenomenal knockouts. But there was a few fights. So there was the Chito Vera first fight, which he did lose.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck what he says. He did lose, right? And I can't remember the name of the other guy, but basically, yeah, I don't want to say suck mouth because we're going to get into some different territory there. And it also
get me excited again. That's 2 episodes in a row.
But his name also looked like Southampton. But basically, he was kicking his legs, and literally Sean was on one leg, and the guy shot for a takedown, and it's like, why? And I think Sean actually won by decision and got interviewed by Rogan on the floor because his legs were done. Do you know what I mean? And I'm just thinking that fight was kind of, Sean looked good, but he would have lost that fight if the other guy had a bit more IQ about him. Do you know what I mean?
I think marketing-wise from UFC, it was like they're possibly, with the nature of the sport, I don't know, maybe their worst nightmare. Because you've got this guy who's got so much hype behind him.
Yeah.
Gone and won the belt finally. And Merab Dvalishvili just, you can't
He had his way with him. He had his way with him, didn't he? Look, when you're on the ground and you're getting kissed on the back, right? And there's nothing more humility. He may as well have pulled his pants down. Do you know what I mean? Give him a wedgie or something. He was just toying with him. But that's what Merab does anyway. That's his style. I think that's actually genuinely part of his training. He probably kisses a heavy bag. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I just find the O'Malley ascension a bit odd. Like he danced his way around the bottom. I don't know how he was allowed to do it the way he did and have so many fights so low.
Yeah.
And then just go bump.
Yeah. All of a sudden, because he was fighting a shitload of bum ranks, and then I think he fought Jan, who was number 3 at the time, and again controversial win. Do you know what I mean? A lot of people have that. Yang actually won that fight. And then he fought Strickland, not Strickland, Sterling.
That would have been entertaining.
There's a fight to make. And fair play, he caught Sterling. Do you know what I mean? I mean, Timwell did his little tricky little, Aljo, you need to go, and it looks like he definitely did do that because he did it in the Merab fight. Do you know what I mean? So no chatting shit, you did do it. Fair play, he won it, and then he defended against Chito, which was a great performance. But then, like you say, Merab came along and he got played with. Now, obviously, Merab just beat Umar. It's Sean getting another title shot. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I want to see Jan get a shot.
I want to see Jan. Yeah, I do want to see that. But one thing I will say about Sean is he's got a fan base. He is very marketable. You know what I mean? And I do it. I've got to admit, I like him in a funny way. Do you know what I mean? He's like, like when you go to the circus, you see the clown dancing about. It's kind of like that, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
Although I would say I prefer Marab. I think his skits that he's done or has been doing are fantastic. I think he's really, really funny.
One of my favourite ones was the Doctor one. I still use that. Brain damage. I
Yeah.
still use that because it's hilarious. You know, Marab is actually genuinely quite fun. Even when he's not trying to be, even when he's falling off horses and jumping in frozen
Yeah.
lakes, right? He's fucking hilarious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know who Marab
Moving on to
is?
the next one.
Marab's one
Sorry.
of them. Sorry, Marab's one of them mates that you say you're gonna go out for a quiet one, no crazy shit. That's Marab.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And you wake up in a bush at 7
Yeah,
o'clock in the morning, freezing your tits off. Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Moving on to the next one. Paulo Costa.
Oh
The,
man.
the man that looks like an action figure but fights like he was built in China.
Do you know what? I don't know what goes on with Paulo because, like you say, he was another one. When he came in, he was flatlining people. I mean, when you look at who he was flatlining, you know, they weren't. I don't want to say they weren't great fighters, but you know, you had Johnny Hendricks, who was basically on his way out anyway. Do you know what I mean? It was
Yeah.
post USADA Johnny Hendricks as well. Not saying anything, but you know, and then who else was there? Uriah Hall. But funnily enough, with Paulo, he's not beat anyone who is currently in the UFC roster.
It's one of them which just blows my mind because I've never seen such a big man have such little power.
Yeah, yeah, and he's massive. He's fucking.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? See, juice or not, he's fucking huge, right? And I mean, well, I will admit, he puts on entertaining fights. He's another one. He's an entertainer. One of my favourite fights is Romero versus Costa, and I still think Romero won that fight.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan. Do you remember the fight? Do you remember that? When he did the fucking salute and everything. Oh, bro, go back and watch that fight. Honestly, it's great. There was one part in the first round where they dropped, I think Costa did drop Romero, and Romero did the look over there and dropped Costa, and it was just, it was hilarious, man. It was hilarious. What a great fight. You rewatch that, man. I might upload that eventually because it's one of my favourite fights to rewatch.
I'm actually opening Fight Pass and opening it out, so I watched it straight after this.
Get it on there, man. Get it on there. But yeah, Costa, again, he's another one. Who's going to fight Costa next? Do you know what I mean? And is he just going to be like the gatekeeper of the middleweight?
He's not even that in the minute.
Where's he at in the rankings? Is he 5, 6?
Yeah, he's. I don't know. When was his last fight?
It was Strickland.
Okay. He's at 11th.
Oh shit.
Names around him. I don't know whether you get him to fight up or down, but I think the 10 and below is a little bit. I don't know. Roman Kopolov's now at 14. Michel Pereira's at 13. Anthony Hernandez at 12. Delete at 10. Brendan Allen at 9.
Michel Pereira versus Costa could be fun.
Yeah.
That might be fun.
Michel's quite a excitable, crazy guy.
Yeah.
If they do a Brazil card, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, I've even heard people talk about Izzy versus Costa too. Do you know what I mean? Maybe sober Costa turns up.
Has Kai Barallo got a fight lined up?
Not at the moment, no. There's a lot of rumors.
I think potentially. I mean, he might want to fight before that, but I think he would be a good one for Izzy. In terms of a business, decision from UFC.
Well, I think Kyle is going to be title shot after Hamzat. So you know, he gets. I think he does. Maybe make him an Izzy, but again,
So we say Kai versus Imavov.
Yeah. I like that. Oh, I like that a lot, actually. Yeah. Dana make it. Yeah,
wins
okay. We're taking commission for that one. We're taking commission.
that.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Perfect. So Hamzat's got the next title shot between the winner of Sean and DDP.
Now that you've said that, Dana's
Yeah.
going to listen to this and go, "I'm not doing that. I'm not paying them."
Dana does what he wants anyway. Dana won't listen to me because I keep telling him to tell John to get the fucking contract signed. But but yeah, that would be ideal.
I had CM Punk, but I'm going to glaze over that one pretty quickly.
CM
Because
Punk.
yeah, it was a bit more of a joke than anything else, and we've already been going for an hour.
This is what we do.
Bonus fight segment we'll go through pretty quick, which is fighters who were underrated until they weren't.
Oh man! So you're gonna say
Charles Oliveira?
Yeah, I think he was underrated.
Went from UFC journeyman to the most dangerous man alive in 2 years.
Yeah.
Kind of reminding me of a substitute teacher turning into John Wick, right?
Yeah, we always took the piss out of the substitutes. Funny story about that, actually. Like, we had a substitute teacher, and we terrorised her. And we were little bastards. We terrorised her, and she disappeared for years. She comes back as a genuine, proper teacher, but everyone remembered her as the substitute. So no one respected her at all. She still got terrorised, and she's like, "I'm a real teacher." Like, fuck off! No, you're not.
Yeah, that's one level of desperation is being a substitute teacher, right?
Yeah. Like you must have a kink, a humiliation kink to do that. You know what
I mean? Michael Bisping.
Oh, what do you mean? Michael Bisping is heavily underrated, I think. Heavily underrated.
Well, yes. Okay, still, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I'll let that one slide.
Yeah, I mean, he you know, when he had like a number one contender fight, yeah, all right, but he still did well. Do you know what I mean? But he just seems to like, and then look at the story. You know, he gets the Rockhold fight last minute, and he wins the championship belt, and it was just, you know, one of my favourite moments of all time in the sport. That.
Yeah. Yeah, it's to have one eye and still win the belt is like it's mind blowing. Like, it's like trying to eat a steak without a knife, isn't it? It's mental.
Yeah, but I mean, you could do it. It's just a bit more difficult, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? But, and the fact that he hid it for so long as well. Do you know what I mean? From doctors, from UFC medics. You know what I mean? That's impressive.
How though? How? What checks are they doing on fighters pre-fight? Like,
can you see me? Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, apparently, it's something to do with the eye test. He'd go over without them noticing, and he'd read. You have the letters, the A, B.
Yeah.
Read them, memorize them, go and sit back down, and then when they covered his good eye, he just recited them as if he was. And then he'd sometimes go, it looks like a B. You know what I mean? It was fair play to him. That's what Manx is. We can bullshit until the cows come home. We can like sell ice to the Eskimos. Do you know what I mean?
The idea though that like basically they've got like he's like that.
Yeah. And his eye is just like
is the equivalent of what's happening, isn't it? And he's just going, a B?
Yeah. It looks like it. Oh yeah, you've passed. Oh, nice one, cheers. You know what I mean? But it's funny because nobody knew about it in the UFC, but apparently, and I think this has been confirmed, GSP figured it out. Apparently, there was someone that GSP noticed, and he's like, he's got no vision in his left eye. Do you know what I mean? So
the GOAT, man, the GOAT.
That's why he's the GOAT. That's why he's the GOAT, baby.
And lastly, to summarise this one up, Leon Edwards. No one rated him for years.
Yeah.
And now he's the best thing to come out of Birmingham since cheap rip-off Balenciagas.
I love it, man. I love it. We've got a thing up here. We in Manchester, we say we're nipping to Cheetham Hill, Berringhu Road, because that's where you can get every designer gear. It doesn't matter what it is, they've got it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, Leon was nearly cut from the UFC. I think very nearly left before he got a couple more fights, and then does that, Hail Mary head kick, that was heard around the world. John Anik with the most perfectly timed not
Yeah.
not cut from that cloth. Yeah, it was perfect, man. And I love Leon. I think he's a great guy. I've met him a few times. He's one of the nicest guys you could meet. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very excited for Leon versus JDM. I'm hoping he's gonna remind him what he's all about. You know what I mean?
It's the perfect one to do it, I think. Of all the people they could have matched him up against at the
Yeah.
top, with the likes of Shavkat coming up, I think if you want to stand and you want to bang, this is your guy to stand and bang with, and I think it's going to be fun.
So it's going to be phenomenal, man. Phenomenal fight.
Until I'm not gonna jinx it. I was gonna say until someone pulls out and we get bloody Ian Gary versus Jaquan Buckley or something.
To be fair, that'll still be a good fight, but don't jinx it, man.
Speaking of, obviously, we touched on Israel Adesanya. We spoke about it slightly, which was my own fault. Imavov.
Yeah. I think Imavov has impressed me dramatically. You know what I mean? He's really impressed me. Do you know what I mean? The last couple of fights he's put on have been great. I didn't think he was gonna dispatch Izzy that way. I thought that fight was gonna go at the distance. I didn't think Izzy was gonna knock him out, and I didn't think he was gonna knock Izzy out. And he really surprised me. It was a good read.
Is he the best thing to come out of France since croissants?
I mean, well, yeah. When you look at Cyril Gane, I would have said that he was, but yeah, I'm thinking Imavov might have overtook Cyril Gane now. Do you know what I mean? BSD, don't get me. I mean, yeah, BSD's he's got a lot to prove, I think.
I was so on board the BSD hype train, and when they announced the Poirier fight, I was like, "Holy shit!
Yeah,
this is it."
Yeah.
But how someone can drop so many gillies and you don't twice? I don't know. Bonkers, isn't it?
I mean, Dustin in his last fight, I am praying in Dustin's last fight he wins via guillotine. I mean, that would just be the most poetic fucking ending ever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So put him against someone who can't grapple and he's shit at defending guillotines, and let him have his dream ending.
Yeah. To be fair, right, the knockout Adesanya genuinely, it did blow my mind. Like, I was so impressed. It was like walking into Gordon Ramsay's kitchen and telling him his risotto shit. You've just
he was
fuck you, like
yeah. And the way he did it as well, it was brutal. I mean, he dropped him with the right. He hit him with the left uppercut as he was going down, and it was just his head just went back. I mean, there was even that in the round one, he hit him with an uppercut, and I think that's when he read it. That's when he read, right, that lands. Do you know what I mean? And that lands pretty effectively. So,
was it early?
The stoppage? I don't think so. I know a lot of people said that it was, and I know our mate Sai probably thought it was as well. Do you know what I mean? But I feel for Sai, God bless him. But
I do think he could have given him another like 5-6 seconds. I do think he could have. I wouldn't have been angry if he had. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like when Bobby Green was getting murdered. You know what I mean?
No, Jalen Turner.
Yeah.
Mate, the ghost of Mario Yamasaki was in the ring that night. You know what I mean? Like that was brutal. I mean, the only thing I saw was Izzy was face down, and I always say, like, if you face down, you're not defending yourself. Do you know what I mean? You're just gonna keep getting it. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, he was, but he was semi up.
Yeah, I mean,
he hadn't really been flattened out,
but
he could have worked his way to his feet potentially.
Yeah, potentially.
If he would, because if Imavov had just started coming under, and I think he would have collapsed, which is why I'm saying I think he could have had another 5-6 seconds just to see if he starts to move forward or if he goes down, and I call it off.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
It is a tough one because, like we said, do you want to see him take more damage? I mean, it could have easily been if it wasn't called when it was, we could have seen Izzy cold. I believe at least he was still conscious enough to kind of go, oh, you know. And I think he actually, there was a clip released, he even asked his corner, was it early? Was it a good stoppage? And I think the corner, his corner coach told him it was a good stoppage. And I think that's when he went and took him above his hand. So,
and quite quickly they got footage out of him watching it. And
I think he watched it as soon as he went in the back room. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fair play to him. And that's what I like about fighters. Some fighters like Izzy is they will look at themselves and go, "Oh, that's how I fucked up." Do you know what I mean? So
again, 100%.
Yeah, and circling back to how we started this, I'm interested to see what he does next. I think he does one more. I think he does one more, and that'll kind of help him decide what he's going to do. You know what I mean?
Okay. We'll pick up on one more. I'm going to save the other person that we had for next episode, and we'll discuss him on that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, because I've seen a lot of it kind of going on MMA Twitter this week, and I fell for one of them. A few people circulating false fight announcements. I was doing laps around my bedroom for the idea that BSD was going to fight Joel Alvarez just to find out it was fake.
Yeah, I think it was me that shot. But well, I saw you boys talking about it, and I thought I'll have to break their little hearts now, because I think I'm a bullshit detector, right? And I saw it, and I kind of texted you, and I went, boys, I know who runs that account, and you were all like, oh shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, right? It's a really, really hot topic on MMA socials at the minute, right? I can't figure out how fake fight announcements keep getting blew up, and people keep I don't know whether they're falling for it. I don't know whether it's because they want that fight to happen and they see it and they go, oh yeah, sweet. I don't believe everything I read until people like Marcel Dorf has posted it, or Berry P, or someone, even someone legit or high up, where you kind of think, yeah, they know something. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not tooting my own hand. There's been plenty of fights that, and I think you guys at ATF know this as well. There's been plenty of fights where I've known what fight is happening, and I've not said anything. And then I've seen other people posting that this fight is going to fight this guy, and I'm going, well, I know for a fact that ain't happening. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's just, I don't get it. I don't get why it's such a big thing. If you put breaking news on your post and put two fighters together, boom, all of a sudden everyone's talking about it. And there's certain...
Well, with 249 followers, that might be what I have to do.
Do what you gotta do, bro.
Yeah. But I will say there are some people that are in the know, which is now starting to clap back.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that's happened quite recently. Like I say, there was a fight circulating at the minute with, Arman versus Chandler. Again, that was one of them that I saw that I thought, that ain't happening. And I know why that's not happening, and I'm not saying why I know that's not happening. And the manager of Arman basically put the two guys that posted about it on blast. And one of the guys kind of said, well, if maybe we could have a work. I know I've bullshitted, I know I've lied, but maybe we can have a working relationship, and maybe you guys, if you told me stuff, I wouldn't have to make shit up. I mean, it was fucking brilliant. Do you know what I mean? Classic.
Yeah, and he turned around and went, well, if you keep on making shit up, then it's not going to happen, is it?
Exactly. It's hilarious. Anybody that knows me, who's following me, we know who we're talking about. I ain't mentioning his name. Do you know what I mean? But he knows who I'm talking about as well. So
the axe kick maestro.
Give it little, man.
Yeah. If you're thinking of doing it, don't do it.
Yeah, don't do it, man. Don't do it.
I think what annoys me more, but I give the people props for doing it. It's the people that just constantly regenerate under their own banner other people's fight news.
Yeah. I mean, like I say, the guy that we were talking, he kind of does that a lot. You know, so someone say like Marcel Dorf will post something, or AG Fights will post something, or you know, someone else, and then they will say, "Oh, this fight's being made per such and such," and it's like, but again, even then, it's like, well, wait. I mean, we can talk about it, and you can say, "Oh, this fight looks like it's happening." Do you know what I mean? By all means, say speculatively. Do you know what pisses me off? When they say such and such a fighter is in talks. Well, of course it's in talks. Everyone's fucking talking about what it'd be like if those two fought. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can't say that's a valid fight. I want to be in talks with Sydney Sweeney. It's not don't mean I'm gonna fucking get with her, does it? You know what I mean? So it's just a wild thing at the moment where, you know, I think fake news is everywhere, you know, and I'm not trying to get political or nothing with it, but I think people are far too quick to believe everything they read. I've never done that. I must admit, even when I see shit that isn't MMA related, I check about 3 or 4 times until I go, all right, okay, you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I did, and I thought we were going to get an ATF trip to Spain out of it. So,
yeah, man. You know, I mean, UFC Spain's still probably going to happen soon. You know what I mean?
and I think Joel Alvarez will be on that card, and I do think that BSD is a great fight to put on that, seeing as he's French.
I mean, it's a good fight. It's a good fight, but this is the other thing, isn't it? Like, when these guys are making fake fight announcements up, it kind of jeopardizes fights in a way.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? And then if it does become right, I mean, there's one guy that will post multiple different. I even think a fight have called him out recently about it as well. They'll post multiple different fights. Such and such is fighting this, and then next week, no, it's such and such is fighting that. Such and such. So he's going to get one right, maybe. Do you know what I mean? And he just deletes the rest that he got wrong. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's one way of doing it.
Yeah.
Where's my notepad? I need to start taking notes on this.
No, man, no. Not the way to do it.
I'll do it slightly differently. I'll make a second account and I'll name it something, and then when it gets to like 5K followers, I'll then just like delete everything and change it.
Oh, see, some of them do that as well. You know what I mean?
So yeah, we'll see how that pans out.
Yeah.
Red Wolf, thanks for your time. I really enjoy doing these ones.
I'm
really happy with
great,
doing them. That is a wrap on this week's episode. If you enjoyed it, share it with a mate. If you didn't, go and argue with me on Twitter, because at the end of the day, engagement is engagement, and I need them followers.
Same here, man. Come on, let's have it. I'm in a mood.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let's go swing it. Especially after John Jones said he had a big fight announcement, and it was so fuck knows.
He trolled everyone with it. You know what I mean? Oh,
I hope. I think it might have been some sort of charity, but if it was a sponsorship deal, I hope you got.
Apparently, it's something to do with like American health insurance and stuff like that. And fair play, I'm sure it's a very good cause, but he knows what he did. He knows what you know what I mean?
Yeah, there was a lot of hype behind that, and I'm fuming. I'm mega fucking fuming. We'll see you in the next one. Our socials are below. ATF socials are below. Like I said, if you can. Also, another thing, if you are still here, you're a diehard fan.
Yeah, you are a legend if you're still here now, yeah.
We want to try and get the podcast itself moving up the rankings on like whatever platform. If you've listened to enough of these, you can leave a review. Leave a review. Give it a rating. And yeah, thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it, guys. See you later.
Bye.
For the next one.